Hey everybody, welcome back to the 25 Days of Christmas. Today we are redoing this Dollar Tree Gnome ornament. Stay tuned. Okay everybody, so I will have in the description box below all of the items that I use, but we are going to focus on this guy right here. Now, we all know, if you have watched any of my hauls, when I found this guy at the Dollar Tree, I was kind of happy and kind of confused because if you go back and watch any of my DIY gnomes, I never make gnomes with eyes. It's just my preference. And so I really thought the best thing to do with this guy would to be redo him. So I'm using some Dollar Tree fabric and I'm going to cover his arms in a black fabric. I'm going to remove the hands here and I'm just going to roll the fabric around the existing arms that the gnome came with. I'm also going to drop in a chenille stem that I cut in half and then cut in half again, and that's going to allow me to give these arms some flexibility because I'm going to have him hold a sign. Now I picked up this black and red buffalo check tree skirt at the Dollar Tree for $1, guys, and I knew that when I wanted to redo this guy, I wanted to use that same fabric, but I didn't want to use the white trim. I actually like the little bit of fur that originally came with this guy, so I'm just using a piece that I sort of cut into a semi-triangle, and I am going to give both sides of the cut piece a nice little finished edge on it. So I'm just using some hot glue and I'm going to turn it over onto itself to just finish off those edges. And then when that is complete, we are going to use the existing edge that we were given with this gnome, and we're going to take this fabric and follow that seam all the way up the side of this guy's hat. So take your time with this when you do that, and also use a finger protector. I didn't do that and I really should have. Now this fabric comes with a piece of stabilizing fabric underneath. I am using that at the top here with this hat because the hat that the gnome comes with is a crocheted type of fabric, and I wanted to use that stabilizing fabric that came with this to sort of smooth everything out. So I go ahead and I just tacked that in place with some hot glue, and then I turned him around and we're going to finish off this side of the hat with a little bit of hot glue, again following that seam correctly all the way down to where the beard starts, and then we'll move on to the next step. Now, because this comes up into a point on this guy, this is exactly how we're going to finish this one off too. I'm just using some hot glue and I'm going to follow that seam all the way up. I'm going to pinch that together. Once that glue has set up, I'm going to take my scissors and go ahead and cut through the glue to finish off the point at the top of this hat. Okay, so we need to do a very similar thing down here at the bottom. So this sweater fabric. It has a seam and then it goes to felt. I'm going to use the same tree skirt and I've cut a piece down. I'm going to go ahead and finish off the edges on this as well, and then we will hot glue it around the seams on both sides and also at the bottom. Now for this, I don't need this stabilizing fabric or that white piece that comes off of here. I didn't want to have to do double hot glue, so I went ahead and removed it. And like I said, we'll go ahead and do seams on it just like that so that it's turned over nice and finished. And then we will go ahead and attach it to our gnome. Now, one thing I did, these are some rocks that I had from Dollar Tree. One thing I did was open up the seam and drop those down inside. You'll want to figure out for your own gnome how many you need, but it helps him to stand up all by himself, and that's why I did that. Once I was satisfied with that, I went ahead and closed up the seam. Now, and again, that was right down at the bottom. I didn't take any of the stuffing out of him at all. And now we're just going to go ahead and finish off the bottom portion of this gnome. I'm going to start hot gluing where I just closed up the seam for those rocks that we put in. And I will work from the center all the way around until we have this completely attached to the front of this gnome. So as you can see here, we were able to finish that off right along the seams, and I think that looks perfect. But now we're just going to trim away the rest of that and tack it down with some hot glue so that the beard does sit over the bottom part of the gnome really well, just like that. So I decided I was just going to trim down the arms for this gnome a little bit, and I'm doing it at an angle so that these can sort of meet in the middle, just the way that they were when we took them off of the gnome. So now that they're at an angle, they're more easily met there at the top, and I'm just going to use some hot glue to glue them down really from where we had removed them before. But remember, now they have chenille stems or pipe cleaners inside, and that's going to give us the ability to maneuver these arms in such a way that it will be holding a sign that we are going to put on this gnome. But look how cute he is with his little dark sleeves and his red and black buffalo check outfit. I think he's really cute. I just always bring in a little lint roller just to remove what I need to remove off of there. I just like to clean them up a little bit before we move on. Now I'm bringing in a chalkboard sign for my guy, and I'm going to reuse this one, but you have options at the Dollar Tree, so you can pick up a brand new one if you want to. And this was put on with a chalk marker, so there's always a little bit of like ghosting left behind. But I just took the little clip apart and pulled it off the back, and it came off really well. And now I'm going to bring in one of my favorite Jelly Roll 0.5 tip on this pen. It is really cute. It writes in white ink, and I'm just writing ho 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 on this sign. So that is what our little gnome is going to be holding. So if you want to do fine detail writing on a chalkboard that you're not going to be able to remove in the future, definitely pick up a Jelly Roll in the white ink. I think it's really, really cute. So as I said, I do have a chenille stem in this guy's arms, and that's going to allow me to bend his arms, and then he will be able to hold this sign. Okay guys, now the last thing we need to do is add the fur back. Now I really loved the fur that came on this gnome existing, and I want to reuse it. So I'm just taking it and hot gluing it to the corners, and I'm bringing it around his nose just like any other gnome. And I really think that the fur on this really does complement that black and red buffalo check even better than that white fur would have. So on the right you have what he used to look like, and on the left you have what he is now. I would really like to know your opinion in the comments down below. Let me know, what do you think of the gnome redo that I did, and are you going to do one this year? If you are, check out the Dollar Tree, guys. That's the best place to get the gnome and your supplies. This is probably how he will be displayed on a tiered tray in my home this year. Okay, everybody, I hope that you liked today's video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up down below. This is my 25 Days of Christmas super easy Dollar Tree Gnome Ornament Makeover that you will want to do. While you're here, go ahead and watch another video, and if you're not yet subscribed, please do so by clicking that button down below. I will see you in my next one. Until then, bye!